Right, Michael, thank you for joining us.
Phil, as ever, thanks for inviting me.
20 years it's taken me to get you to sit down and do this.
I'm elusive.
I know you are. Thanks for joining me, Michael. It's fair to say that Shearings, aside from being a household name, it's the UK's largest tour company. And when people are asked about Shearings, they go, oh yeah, they do coach holidays. But it's not quite true, is it, Michael? Given that we're sat here talking about a river cruise ship, on the Seine in northern France.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, traditionally people know that we have coach holidays because we've got something like 200 fantastic Mercedes coaches ploughing up and down the motorway network and the A's and B roads of Britain and Europe. But yeah, we do a lot more.
You do, and a great history with Shearings. I think what's interesting is touching on that, looking back through history. Shearings, like many businesses, especially during the Second World War, were restricted in what tours they could operate. But once that was over, it was Shearings who took a continental trip over to Switzerland, sold out immediately, and then today, we can talk about what Shearings offers on the west coast of America, one of the most popular tours. And there's something a little bit special about that, isn't there, Michael?
There is. North America is one of my true loves. I go every year, either Canada or America, and I just love the vastness. I love the scale of the place. I love the topography, the mountains, the lakes, and of course the coast. Who loves an ocean? So next year, that's new for us. We've got a more traditional touring holiday, which is 21 days, and it goes from New York all the way through to Los Angeles. So obviously you fly in, and you've got a coach that takes you all the way with a guide. You'll see the usual stuff like New York. You'll see Washington. You'll get to Chicago, South Dakota to see Mount Rushmore, all the way down through to San Francisco, Los Angeles. So that's more traditional. But the one that you're alluding to is what we call Wings Over the West, which is a 16-day tour. You fly into Las Vegas. You get to see wonderful areas like Monument Valley, Bryce Canyon. You get through to Las Vegas. You've been to up to Napa Valley to taste some wine. Down Route 1, you get to go to 17-mile drive in California as well. All that plus to cover all that ground from the Grand Canyon all the way through to there.
This is the big one, isn't it?
It is the big one. You get 3 flights on a private jet. Now you're sat there on this beautiful autumn day in Vernon, and you've got your sunglasses on. Now, when you get off a private jet at an airport, you have to be wearing sunglasses because it's de rigueur, isn't it? Absolutely. So you look like you are just stepping off a private jet. Can you imagine landing in the airports, private jet straight through? You feel like you've arrived, metaphorically and literally.
Absolutely, but you wouldn't expect, or people's perception is that that's not the holiday you would particularly find if you went looking through a Shearings brochure. No,
exactly. And people know that we take, typically in the UK, we're 50 plus, but quite often it can be 60 and 70, even 80. We have to remember the generation that's that age now, they're fitter and healthier, partly through lifestyle, partly through medication, than their predecessors who basically retired and then you were of an age. But my uncle's just come back from a touring holiday in South Africa, and he's 75, and my granddad, when he was 75, well, he wasn't here, so that's because he had a much harder life. So people know that we do holidays for more senior people to the UK coast and etc. But people have got bucket lists. People want to do things around the world.
We talked about this last night over a drink, didn't we? About judging people and prejudging people.
Oh yeah. Once I was at a holiday show, and there was an elderly couple. They weren't great on the legs, to be honest, but they were quite old, and they got off the coach and they came, shook my hand and smiled, and they said, "Oh, I think we're ready to book." I said, "Where are we looking to go? We're going to Wales, going to Whitby." "Oh, no, Budapest, Prague and Vienna." And they were going on a 14-day touring holiday where they'd be staying somewhere 2 nights, then moving on, then 2 nights. But you can't judge someone's spirit and someone's sense of adventure by the colour of the hair or the colour of the scalp.
Absolutely. Now, coming back to river cruising, and in particular Paris and the River Seine, why is this particular Shearings cruise so popular with British guests?
I think British are typically I know people talk about French lifestyle and everything, but there are a lot of Francophiles in the UK, and it's so close as well. I mean, whether you go by air, rail or coach, I came across by rail.
Yep.
I love Eurostar. It's a lovely way from Leeds down to King's Cross. You walk across to Eurostar, have 2 or 3 bottles of champagne in the champagne lounge at St Pancras, or not, and then on the train, and it's lovely. And you're here, you're in France, so it's very close. But I think Paris is obviously a real key. People love to see Paris. Great walking city, great place, lovely, lots of attractions. But it's the places that you would just never go to, that you stumble across on a river cruise, like Vernon here, this lovely little medieval village, medieval town, lots of wonderful history. Maybe 2,000 people are here.
Yep.
Yesterday we were in Rouen, which I believe was part of the English. It was under English control at a certain point.
The city was destroyed, wasn't it?
It was.
The south side of the city was completely
totally blown
destroyed.
away.
The infrastructure there for the port and the rail was completely destroyed.
And of course we learnt all about wonderful things like well, not wonderful things about Jeanne d'Arc, but certainly about the stories that we've all grown up.
Yeah.
We all know of Jeanne d'Arc, but not many of us really know the story. So when you understand it, you see the cathedral, you see the place where she was burnt, all those things, history, river cruising, you are drifting through history. There are no empty days on a river cruise.
Absolutely right. Michael, thank you for sharing a little bit about Shearings with us and the history,
You're welcome.
where Shearings is going, why Shearing is so popular.
Thank you.
And we're going to have a little bit of fun, quick quiz like we do.
All right.
Short and snappy.
Okay.
Planes or trains?
Oh, trains.
Meat or veg?
Veg.
Mr. Bond or Mr. Bean?
Oh, Mr. Bond.
Book or Kindle?
A book.
Starter or dessert?
Starter.
River or ocean?
River.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
Boxing or ballet?
Ballet, probably.
As we discussed.
Yeah.
Michael, thanks for your time.
It's been
great
emotional,
to see you.
Phil. Thank you
you,
very
sir.
much. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.